So it's become customary to shit on the Jurassic World franchise, which obviously has its reasons because the last 3 movies were as good as coffee, hold the coffee, add sewage. So is Jurassic World Rebirth a bad movie? Not at all. I actually really enjoyed it. That being said, it's also not the best movie. Hello everybody and welcome to the Unlucky Block, where I find things digital media and I complain about them. So if you're a Jurassic World fan, odds are you're gonna like this movie, cause I'm a Jurassic World fan and I like this movie. Turns out putting dinosaurs on a big screen tends to do that. But the strongest points in this film really are the encounters on the island. So I am gonna talk about the highlights before anything. Oh yeah, and light spoiler warning for anybody who hasn't watched the movie yet. So the opening scene is the D-Rex in the laboratory, or this scene from the trailer. And this scene is done insanely well. Like, the opening scene could be its own short movie. It's insanely creepy, it's insanely tense, the shots they get here are amazing. Just generally a good introduction to this creature. Another scene that's crafted really well is the T-Rex one. At some point, the family that made it to the island bumped into a sleeping T-Rex. This is a really tense scene and they executed it flawlessly. There's actually a point in the scene where the T-Rex picks up the boat with the girl still in it. And the last scene I'm gonna give props to, the Mosasaur was amazing in this movie. You don't get to appreciate just how intimidating the Mosasaurus is until you've seen this movie, because this scene is absolutely terrifying. This is effectively thalassophobia on steroids. But not only that, a character gets trapped inside the boat. So I can promise that you haven't known water horror if you haven't watched this movie. So when it comes to what you're there for, the movie knows what it's doing. So with all the good points out of the way, I'm now gonna go back through the list of dinosaurs and point out every single thing that it does wrong. So the D-Rex scene, in total, an amazing scene. But you wanna know the only reason why this scene, nay, the whole movie even happens in the first place? Because one scientist in charge of going into the containment area was eating a Snickers bar. The wrapper to that Snickers then fell on the floor with the scientist not even bothering to pick it up. It then got blown in by the magical wind of plot and got caught in this little vent in the door, which somehow halted the entire containment process for the D-Rex. Now I don't know why there's vents on the door, but I especially don't know why a Snickers bar getting caught in a vent would shut down the entire security protocol. And these little plot conveniences are not special. Like, the scenes will be amazing, but be started by the dumbest things, like, I don't know, product placement? So, moving on from the D-Rex, now we have the T-Rex. This movie unveils the T-Rex's hidden ability to flash step. Yeah, not joking about that. Watch this. That also brings up another problem that I have. Dinosaur footsteps have no sense of consistency. There's a scene in the movie where one character is being stalked by velociraptors, which is actually a really well made scene because the sound design here is perfect. It shows you just how good the movie says velociraptors are at hunting. But at the end of the movie, when the D-Rex shows up, his footsteps are absolutely silent. You can't hear him. He comes out of nowhere. This runs contradictory to what happened earlier, because when he shows up, he literally makes everybody stop what they're doing, he's so loud. These dinosaurs have a canonical mute button on their footsteps. Anyways, back to the T-Rex scene. The biggest issue I have with this. These characters had no business surviving the T-Rex. They should have died. Like, I get you can't kill off your main characters, and it's still a really tense scene. But no living creature is surviving the scene. Look, realistically, it would have been harder for the T-Rex to not kill them. The reason why the T-Rex encounters worked in Jurassic Park is because I believe these characters could make it out. Like, you could reasonably outdrive a T-Rex. Like, that doesn't strike me as weird or odd. But in this scene, you're genuinely trying to convince me that they could paddle boat a T-Rex. Which, you know, they might be able to if the T-Rex was also in a paddle boat. The only reason these characters survive is because of plot armor. And one of the most annoying things to me in a story is inexplicable plot armor. Like, think of it like this. You have point A, you have point B. The writers obviously want you to get to point A to point B, but they will come up with any excuse under the sun to get you from point A to point B, because they know what you're actually there for. Look, it's 100% acceptable to hold series like this to a higher standard, because it's not that hard to write a good story. Okay, last scene, the Mosasaur. I just have one tiny issue with it. It's the fact that the Mosasaur doesn't just take down the boat. Like, just take down the boat. Why wouldn't it do that? You can't convince me the Mosasaur wouldn't chomp this whole thing in half. You remember these guys pulling up fish? And then the Mosasaur sunk the wee damn ship? Like, the entire shipping vessel? I mean, obviously it's not the same Mosasaur, but the point still stands. The biggest problem I have with the movie is these writing choices where it feels like they're picking and choosing between making sense and not making sense. And another complaint about this movie is that these characters are either really good or really bad. There's no in between. The scene that shows this the absolute best for me is the scene between Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. They are both two tired mercenaries who have seen the worst of the world. And at some point they sit down together and have a chat. But Scarlett Johansson's performance as Zora falls completely flat for me. Like, Duncan is such a dynamic character in this story, but Scarlett Johansson can't conjure up any amount of seriousness. Like, don't get me wrong, she's not a bad actor, but it's really clear to me that they just wanted a big name. So what ends up happening is that Zora and Duncan feel like they're in two completely different movies, which sucks because Mahershala did a really good job in his performance. And it's not that Scarlett Johansson gave a bad performance, it just wasn't a good fit for her. But another reason why this movie's catching a lot of flack is because people don't like the B-plot of the family. Which, I'll go against the grain a little bit, I actually do like having this family in the story. They aren't amazing, but it's really not a bother. But you wanna know what does bother me? Is this fucking guy. Now I'm assuming we all have that friend that says the most random things at the most random times. And it really makes you think, you're not a real person, you're an NPC. That's what this guy made me think. Every second of the movie, he felt like an NPC, like not a real person. Like not even just like a bad actor. He didn't feel real. Like this man just spawned in. And they also tried to give him a character arc, which turned out more like a character line. His character arc felt like the embodiment of Sisyphus, because every time he would do something to progress his character arc, he would do or say something to push it right back down. So he kinda justifies the hate on the family for me. But another character that makes even less sense to me is the guy who started the mission in the first place. Because he's, I'm assuming, an executive at this big pharmaceutical company. He has millions to pay these mercenaries. And then he goes with them on the mission. Why is this guy here? I thought the whole point of hiring mercenaries was to get them to do the dirty work. He ends up making more drama than there needs to be in the story, because every single plot point this guy's involved in just feels forced. It didn't feel genuine, and his evilness didn't make me go, oh my god. It made me go, dude. So on top of a cast of characters that feel like a mishmash of good and bad actors, you also just have someone who doesn't belong there in the first place. Oh yeah, and I can't end this video without talking about this character. This guy, the doctor, or dinosaur expert, whatever. He has studied under Alan Grant since he was a little noodle of a human being. And he is just so odd. Like, his character has so many moments where it just shines and flies through the scenes. This character had a monologue towards the beginning of the movie. And albeit a little bit corny, it still gave me chills. The issue is, there are a lot of scenes where it really feels like he just wasn't handed a script. Like, I'm not joking, in some scenes it feels like he's nervous because he's just making shit up. Which, of course, I know he's not. But as a writer, if your viewers are leaving with this feeling, then you have failed as a writer. Now, I can't tell you if it's the writer's fault or maybe just the actor's interpretation of the character, but that being said, the writers still do love to just shoot him in the foot sometimes. Also, he falls off a goddamn cliff and lives. They try to brush over it, like, it's okay, the trees caught him, so he's fine, or he landed in water. No, this is superhuman ability. You can't just shrug this off. But I digress. All in all, Jurassic World Rebirth was a good movie. Even though they don't care about how they get you from point A to point B, point A and point B are going to satisfy the majority of audiences. But is it a great movie? Not really. But it is one of those movies where if you turn off your brain just enough, it will seem like the best movie ever conceived and written by mankind. So that's the unlucky block for you. Maybe next time it'll drop you like $2. Or just another rant. But it looks like there's nothing left to be said. So with that, I bid you peace, my friend.